say yes to life. Good morning, Peter.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, good morning, team. Great to be with you on this Tuesday morning. I wish we had more sunshine, but maybe there's more sunshine in Billings, so that might help us moving forward. But, Pat, I want to tell you, I believe in love at first sight. The first time I saw Dave, I was just blown away. The man is just beautiful. What can I say?
And then
I'm not going to go there, Pete. Yeah.
Looking at me makes the man in the mirror look a lot better. I'm just telling you. You got to follow that one for a second.
Are you saying looking at you increases self-love?
Yeah,
is that
self-love.
What you're saying, Dave?
Yeah,
self-love. Okay.
I got to go to confession now. All right. Anyway, with all that being said, hey, a couple stories I'm following and maybe some action items for our listeners today. And it's so very important because for 50 years in this country, the Hyde Amendment has ensured that Americans are not forced to pay for abortion with our tax dollars. You know, we have this grand fight going on, right, between pro-choice and pro-life. But the majority of Americans, whether you're Democrat, Republican, believe that your tax dollars shouldn't pay for abortion. But right now, there's an attempt to revive kind of lapsed Obamacare subsidies. So that basically means the government gives money to insurance plans to keep what was offered in Obamacare cheaper. But those subsidies are expiring, and so the government's debating whether or not we put more money into the insurance companies to keep the subsidies or keep the plans a little bit low. Well, that's all fine. I mean, I think Catholics actually can probably fall on either end as far as whether or not you believe and what role the government should play in health care. But one end that we don't fall into is believing that our tax dollars could pay for abortion. So the Hyde Amendment protections, they're at risk right now. It passed the House of Representatives without Hyde protections, and now the Senate is kind of debating this right now, whether or not they're going to pass the House version or whether they have kind of their own version themselves. Part of this stems from directly from the White House. President Trump went to a retreat with Republicans, and at that retreat, he actually told the Republicans that they need to be, quote, flexible on Hyde. And again, this is a long-standing kind of conservative pro-life principle that Hyde is incredibly important. So we need everybody to call their senators today, whether you're in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, wherever it might be, and tell them that we don't want to compromise on Hyde. Again, a poll found last year that 57% of Americans, including 41% of those who consider themselves pro-choice, oppose using tax dollars to pay for abortion. So this is really a bipartisan issue. That's why we want people to call, whether or not you have two senators that you think are pro-choice or not, please call them and call their offices. They could be making a decision as early as today on the Hyde Amendment. So there's really three things you can do. One, as always, we begin with praying, asking the Holy Spirit to work in the hearts of, here in Ohio, Senator Husted and Senator Moreno. But secondly, spread the word with your family and friends. A lot of people don't know that this is even taking place. Most people are busy just kind of living their lives, and they're not aware that the Hyde Amendment is even at risk here. And then lastly, call your senators. It's just so important to say, say your name, where you're from, your city and state, and just calling them to urge them to hold the line on the Hyde Amendment so that our taxpayer dollars don't fund abortion. So whether you're in Michigan, you can call Gary Peters or Alyssa Stotkin. Indiana, you can call Todd Young or Jim Banks. In Ohio, Bernie Moreno and John Husted. All of this began back with Obamacare when it first passed. There was a section called 1303 that was passed, and it said basically tax dollars couldn't fund abortions, but basically there was a lot of loopholes in it, and it actually mandated that states provide at least one health care plan in their particular state that paid for abortion. So right from the very beginning, Obamacare did not keep our taxpayers separate. So that's why we need the Hyde Amendment in particular, which has the strongest language possible. It is the gold standard to protect our taxpayer dollars. So that's one. That's the most important thing I wanted to kind of get out there for our listeners. But number two, found out very disturbing. I was reading on the Catholic Vote just earlier this morning. The IRS actually allows tax breaks for abortion. I couldn't believe it when I read it, but they're calling on people for certain action items there. So I invite people to go to CatholicVote.org to kind of check out how they're calling people to respond to this. But Section 213D in the IRS code actually allows you, because they qualify abortions as health care, right? So you can take that off as a tax deduction. It's absolutely insane that we do that here as a country, but it's another thing that we can make our voice heard so that these things stop being a part of our federal government, which is really, really awful. Two more things. One is, I've been watching the news, and there's such a disregard for human life sometimes. And Renee Nicole Good, who lost her life in Minnesota, she was shot by an ICE agent. And, you go to the news, and some people say it was self-defense. Some people say it was cold-blooded murder. Whatever side you fall on, because we're still waiting for all the facts to come out and things of that nature, I think as Catholics, our first response just has to be to pray and to mourn for a life that has been lost, no matter what side you fall on. If you're trying to defend the ICE actions, or you're trying to defend someone's protesters, right, whatever it is, our first reaction as Catholics is someone lost their life. And so we see this across the political spectrum. There's someone at a University of Massachusetts radio station just lost their job because they're calling to kill J.D. Vance.
Right.
Guys, the rhetoric here, we have to remember, first and foremost, the dignity of human life, whether or not we agree with them politically. So just want to emphasize that kind of moving forward as well.
I love that, Pete. And look, the rhetoric needs to calm down, right? But no Catholic should be engaged in it at all regarding devaluing life in any way.
Yeah.
That's right,
Very
100%.
true.
So I loved your life. I loved it at first sight.
Beautiful.
You're fabulous.
Thanks, Pete.
Peter Range, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
take
Let's
care,
all
guys.
say yes to life.